Upset protesters take drastic measures and block the entrance of the Paradise Island Bridge. The Minister of Immigration says he and the Attorney General are on the same page when it comes to those released Cubans. A downtown development is expected to break ground on its 2 hotels within the next 30 days. Long Island MP Loretta Butler-Turner voices concern over the upcoming gender equality referendum and the new bridge toll delayed. We've got those stories and a lot more coming up tonight. I'm Dana Smith, and MB12 starts right now. Over a fence next to the Rio blocking access to Cabbage Beach, vendors today resorted to drastic measures to have their cries heard. Our Giorgio Bain was there and filed this report.
Protesters used their vehicles to block the Sidney Poitier Bridge, denying access to that route to Paradise Island. This resulted in police officers having to physically move one of the vehicles to regain access to the island.
Look, yo. My name more in the people's car, Lord, live, the police more in the people's car, OMG. My jokes for this. They rattling them on the road.
Protesters took to blocking the Paradise Island Bridge today, saying if they can't work, no one else will. The protest resulted in several of the protesters actually being arrested.
Attorney Halson Mutri, who represents the Cabbage Beach vendors and is also the F&M candidate for Nassau Village, says this move by new owners to block access is unheard of, and he will make it his duty to have the fence removed.
The new owner had indicated that they were extending the access to the beach for 60 days. That letter was dated the 29th of December 2015. The Minister of Tourism went and unilaterally agreed with the new owner of the property to deny the Bahamian people the access to the public beach after the expiration of the 60 days. He also agreed in that letter to gag himself and not to make any public statement. But I was advised and instructed that yesterday afternoon he took it upon himself to visit Cabbage Beach and to advise the vendors on Cabbage Beach from the Cabbage Beach Business Owners Association that the access to the beach would be denied today.
One angry vendor said today was going to be the most promising day for vendors as several cruise ships were in, but they were not able to take advantage of it because they were denied access to the beach.
Minister of Tourism told us that the beach wouldn't be closed come today. We came to work this morning with so much enthusiasm and so excited just to get our heart broken that we can't make any money today. With 3 boats, one of the biggest boats in the world, in the day, the Allure of the Sea. And we yesterday was so rough on the beach. I'm sure everybody behind me could say, money make on the beach.
Just a few minutes after speaking with us, that protester was arrested by police for disturbing the peace.
Police brutality.
President of the Cabbage Beach Vendors Association, Monique Taylor, says the next step is to take legal action.
What we're going to seek is legal action because the action that the resort has taken this morning is unconstitutional and it has a negative impact on the lives of these many Bahamian workers that are standing out here together in solidarity. And we look forward for that gate to be removed and to be removed immediately. And as we could clearly see, and as the person who is behind us, the government is not in support of the people. In fact, the government is acting in support of the investor.
In a statement released by the new owners, Access Industries, they stated, as required by its sales agreement to Access Industries in 2014, Brookfield is obligated to relocate the current public beach access to another location. Access Industries has granted a 60-day period for the government of the Bahamas to find an alternative location for vendors currently based there. Access Industries has been working with the Bahamas government on a development plan for the vacant lot parallel to the beach. Attempts to reach the Minister of Tourism up to airtime were unsuccessful. Cabbage Beach vendors say until the fence is taken down, they will continue to protest daily. Reporting for NB12, I'm Giorgio Bain.
Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell said as it relates to the issue surrounding the release of 2 Cuban men, he and the Attorney General are on the same page, despite information to suggest that the AG actually supported the release of the men. He also explained plans to detain the men and the battle to find another country to accept them. Kyle Joaquin has the details.
It's no secret that the release of the 2 Cuban men pretty much dominated the news last week. And after what he called clutter in the media, Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister Fred Mitchell said he wanted to address the matter once again.
The advice we have is that they can be rearrested. And if we find them, they will be rearrested.
The 2 men, Carlos Pupo and Lazaro Sierra Morin, still can't be found. And according to reports, one may have been spotted in Bimini within the last 24 hours. But since their release less than 2 weeks ago, there has been public debate as to why the immigration minister is seeking their rearrest, why the AG's office didn't file charges against the men, and just how lawful it really was to hold them for so long. In today's Nassau Guardian's National Review by Guardian Managing Editor Candia Dames, the headline, revealed AG-supported release of Cubans, takes a look into a cabinet document showing that it was the view of the AG earlier this month that prosecutors handling the case of the 2 Cuban men should proceed based on the recommendations in a November cabinet memorandum signed by Mitchell, who invited cabinet at that time to support the release of the men with asylum seeker certificates. When Deputy Director of Legal Affairs Franklin Williams appeared in the matter before Supreme Court Justice Stephen Isaacs 2 weeks ago on February 18th, he didn't oppose the men's release. And after reading this morning's National Review, we asked the minister, as it relates to this matter, is the Attorney General and the Foreign Affairs and Immigration Minister on the same page?
We're in one cabinet, and there's no disagreement that I know of on any policy matters with regard to this, but the questions remain as they have been.
Mitchell once again hit out at Dames and members of the opposition who say the minister failed to explain why the Cuban men were held for 3 years without charge.
It's just trying to create problems where there are no problems. And again, refusing to accept what the truth is on the matter, and instead trying to raise red herrings. I think just below there's another story. Minister fails to explain. You mean you don't like the explanation? That's the point. You just don't like the explanation, not that I failed to explain.
The men reportedly have criminal records in the U.S. One of them, Pupo, was once charged with illegal landing but paid a fine. The other has never been charged with a crime in the Bahamas. But what exactly happens once the men are rearrested? Will charges be filed, or where will they be held? According to Mitchell, they are to remain in custody until a third country could be found. And at the moment, as was the case 3 years ago, their home country of Cuba doesn't want them. Neither does America, and other discussions with countries to accept the men, according to Mitchell, have been unsuccessful. But after recently being freed after an order from the Supreme Court, how long then could the men remain in custody?
If you read the stolen cabinet paper, the cabinet paper was simply outlining to the government that there's a threshold beyond which you can't go, and that you have to consider what the range of alternatives are. That's what it was. So I can't determine that. You know, the Immigration Board ultimately determines that, or the courts, since they have been substituting their judgments for immigration.
Mitchell said he suggests the men be held at the detention center because their infraction could be considered as minor. But he added that if there are others, then the prison would be best suited for the men again. Now, as for the cabinet document, which was leaked to the media, the minister didn't give an answer into whether or not an investigation had been launched to determine who was responsible for the document finding its way into the public domain. And as a result of all this debate, which Mitchell called clutter, the government is now looking at amending certain laws.
For example, we are looking at amending the law to change a number of things. If the courts are now saying that everybody has to be brought up on a deportation order before they're invited to be out, we have to change the law with regard to that to make it clear. The practice that has been followed by immigration all along to invite people who have violated the immigration laws to simply leave on their own steam without a formal order. That's being litigated in Freeport now. But I'm in the middle of suggesting that the law needs to be changed immediately.
Maynard Gibson has remained silent on the issue since it arose again just over a week ago. This is unlike the Attorney General, who on many different occasions responded to issues involving her office almost immediately. No word on when the AG plans on making a public statement. For NB12, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Downtown Nassau development, The Point, is expected to break ground on its 2 hotels within the next 30 days, having just secured the permits. The Point, which is located next to the British Colonial Hilton, is a major multi-million-dollar hotel development that's being built and financed by the same construction company that built Baha Mar. But officials today said they are on schedule for a 2017 opening and also addressed concerns regarding the number of foreign construction workers at the project.
We're building it in phases. Our first phase will be the parking garage, which is right on the corner that everybody's seeing. That will be an 8-story parking garage that will be able to accommodate 1,000 cars. We're hoping that will alleviate a lot of the parking problem in downtown Nassau. That will be open first. We're hoping that will be completed by summer of 2016. No hurricanes. We've just got planning approval for phase 2 and 3. Which would be our entertainment hotel and our condo hotel. And it will be on track for 2017 opening.
The Point's Director of External Affairs, Leslie Pinling, spoke to reporters after giving a tour of the Point's newest restaurant, Summer Palace, which opens tomorrow. The new eatery, which features a noodle bar, karaoke lounge, and authentic Chinese cuisine, is just one part of what's planned to be a $250 to $300 million development. To date, Pinling said the Point invested between $8 and $10 million on the parking garage, located just west of the Hilton. Concerns have been raised regarding the number of Chinese construction workers seen on that project. But Pinling said, although the heads of agreement allows for a predominantly foreign workforce for startup construction, the dynamics will change as the project moves closer to the finishing work.
With our heads of agreement, we have an agreement that there would be 60%, 40% Bahamian labor and 60% foreign labor. That is only for the startup construction of what we call the superstructure. The superstructure would be the garage and the 2 hotels. Once those have been completed, then the dynamics and numbers will change because we will need more Bahamians as well. The finishing work may be electrical, plumbing, drywall. All of those finishes will be done by Bahamians.
Pinling also noted the Point has a limit on the number of work permits, no more than 500. And although the agreement allows for a 60-40 ratio, Pinling said currently the Point's labor force is a bit more even.
We have 47% Bahamian and 49% Chinese. We have an 8-foot fence. So therefore you can only see above that, so you don't actually see the Bahamians on the ground level doing all the other structural work that there is.
And once the project is finished, the Point will hire around 500 Bahamians. And the development has already inked a deal with a well-known hotel brand to run the entertainment hotel.
We are anticipating Hard Rock to be the brand that we will be using for our entertainment hotel. Which are the design and construction. Basically, the hotel sits around the amphitheater that is overlooking the ocean. And we're hoping that Hard Rock can bring in the names for us, in conjunction with Bahamian groups also, in order to have music-themed events. So all of the rooms in the entertainment hotel angle down onto the amphitheater, so your room actually is a stage.
The other main structure will be comprised of condos, and Pinling said they expect to break ground on both within the next 30 days. Developers also have plans for a marina and boardwalk, pending the results of an environmental impact assessment and subsequent approval.
We anticipate building a boardwalk that would start basically where Senior Frogs is and encompass the front of the property that will take the tourists coming off cruise ships around to view our property. And also if they'd like a drink or a meal, they can do that. And then they'd be able to exit out on Junkanoo Beach if they wish. So it's just an ulterior route that they could take, either going down the Bay Street route or going obviously on the beach side, on the ocean side.
The point will also feature a spa, bowling alley, movie theater, and a variety of shops, bars, and restaurants, including Summer Palace, which saw extended renovations to transform it from a Scotiabank branch into a trendy and modern eatery.